Check.
Just watching my model freak out is just funny in itself. All right, well, I'm testing a few things as we go live. I'm trying to get 2 different YouTube streams running. One being 1920 by 1080p and the other being the YouTube Shorts. We'll see if we can get this working. Otherwise, just gonna ignore it. Who's there? Who's there? Who goes there? Garnican's here. Hoddle Hill's here. Welcome in, ladies. And gentlemen. Both? I'm not sure. Anyway. Hope you all are having a nice day. Garnican, I am not going to assume anyone or anything. It's not my jurisdiction. The less I know, the better, to be quite honest. People, guys, friends. Uno mas. But yeah, we're just getting some stream stuff set up. Also, my character here, not exactly perfect, but I do have like finger tracking working. You can see there's a lot of room for improvement. See? My mouth doesn't really move that well. But yeah, today we're going to be doing some writing. There's this software that is called Ink, and I'll probably share some links as we go. But yeah, just getting some things set up right now. Feel free to, ask questions, tell me about your day, whatever's going on in your world. I'm just going to be setting some things up right now. There's an echo? Ooh, good to know. Thank you, Garnican. Where would that be coming from? Good to know, but hard to solve. That's usually the problem. Is it still echoing? I disabled my music, and what I'm assuming is one of my streams might have been on in the background. I do have to delete a few things. Hopefully I can get this at a point where it's not a hindrance. Like I think I spent the last hour just trying to make this workflow a little bit easier for me. Still, sounds like you're listening to your own recording live. Okay, good to know. I'm looking for audio, peaking. Where are you at? Looking for audio. Muting microphone. That might have fixed it. Wait, it says teleport. Nope. Gaming PC. Teleport. Teleport. Well then. Okay. Well, Garnican, I'm glad you said that because I think I muted the wrong one. It might have fixed it now. It's hard to say. My live stream itself is also not keeping up.
Sounds better.
Sounds better? Oh, that's a good sign. Okay. Well, Garnican, I'm glad you said that because I think I muted the wrong one. All right. We might be back in business now. Okay, so
Oh, text-to-speech is on.
Yep, text-to-speech is on. It's not exactly fast, so you might actually see it on screen before it pops up.
Echo again, but 10 delay.
10 delay? Oh, that was me. That was me just listening into my stream. I think we fixed it. The one thing that I'm like trying to make work right now is streaming to both YouTube Shorts and 1920 1080p. That's what I'm currently trying to test out. That effectively is like difficult to do. Basically everybody online's like, it don't work. You have to schedule it for like 10 minutes later. So we'll see in about 3 minutes if it works. Fixed. Hey, Blue Tulip, rock on, dude. What it is. All right, now I've got 2 pop-out chats. I hear so many sound effects from all the random things I'm doing. Let me get some music back on. So, quick opinion here. Do you guys like listening to music, or would you rather have like a streamer on in the background and your own music playing, or whatever you're listening to? This is something I've always been curious about, because oftentimes I don't really like other people's music. Like, I would rather listen to my own music. Okay, got all that working. Pick probably needs a reload. Okay, we'll see if this message goes through. Hi.
Hi. I like low background music. Hi. 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 Hi.
Okay,
Depend on availability of background music streamers. Hi LOL.
It really does depend on the music itself, and I don't think everybody has the same taste. I know Hodl, you usually got some calming stuff. Blue Tulip, you're the opposite. You've got rock and roll. Alright, well, as for today... Oh god, my arms are already breaking. My arms! Huh. Oh yeah, and my
LMAO.
I think my CC... Yeah, there we go. Closed captions are online now. Overall, I think my computer is not built to handle all this at the same exact time. When I'm a billionaire, I'll be able to afford a second computer.
No, Hodl has switched to ASMR, at least when I am there. Oddly E is also in rock.
Hodl's also doing the rock? It's just her voice then. That's what gets you calmed down, mellowed out, hodled your own hills, you know? Alright. This is not looking good from a CPU standpoint. I didn't want to...
It varies depending on my mood. Hello everyone.
Hey, play a game for fun. What does this look like? So, here I'm just showing the computer symptoms here. And so this is for recording. I don't want to be recording. So I'm going to turn off recording. This is actually going to stop the closed captions. But I think it's going to help my CPU. It's hard to say. And then the big test is to see whether or not we're streaming to 2 different types of YouTube. Which I guess I could pull up on my phone. But yeah, we're just chatting. Probably just going to stream for like 30 minutes to an hour. We'll see. Thanks, guys, for popping in. Garnican, when's your stream coming on? Interesting. I don't think I can watch my own streams.
I have a horrible, horrible, horrible voice, so never.
Horrible. Well, Garnica, in technology, not only can you conceal your voice, you can pick whatever voice you want. So, even if you did have a horrible voice, like that can be your genre, your niche.
That is a lie, I have heard it.
Well, even after stopping the recording, it looks like my computer isn't really letting up. But this is an Unreal Engine here, because you popped in just to say hi. I'm showing you the quick tour of my apartment. I made this like a month ago, and revisiting it is always fun. It's more or less like, how do I make this into like a VTuber studio? And so I have like 2 different cameras right now. I can have multiple cameras, but like here's an idea of what you're looking at. Like, so like me here on the couch, this is all connected through a VR headset.
I have heard it too, that's why I know it's true. Maybe someday when an AI can perfect a perfect voice, like Half-Zero RKS, and he gives permission.
Yeah.
Too many beers, I see you double. You're a whole dork now.
Yeah. Well, technically I'm only half dork because my legs are frozen. I can't get up from the couch. But I can give you a thumbs up. I can't even look in this direction.
Nice studio.
Hey Sparky, what's up, yo? Garnican, if you promise to stream at least once, I would give you my voice in the form of AI. Thanks, Play Game. Well, so right now you're looking at a pink screen, and there's double of me. That's interesting. On my screen, it's not double. But the way this is supposed to work is if I hide this display capture, it's gonna have whatever's on my screen in the background. So for today, I'm just kind of doing a little writing, and of course, this is more of
it's
a
not
test
beer.
stream. But really trying to see if I can get my live stream working. See, we have live here. Hi.
Hi.
It says it's waiting for me. So that doesn't help. Okay. So this is stream number 1. And then stream number 2. His keyframes are broken. Enable auto start.
Does chat auto talk?
Does chat auto talk? It's you guys. So whenever you type something in, it is a little bit slow. Depends on my internet connection. Oh, there's a button I have to push. Oh, is this gonna work? I'd show you what I'm looking at, but there's like some sensitive information. Okay, looks like we're live.
What app and extensions do you using to stream?
Yeah, Play Game. If you're looking for direct improvements, I'm using a Chrome extension called Social Stream, and that allows me to get the chats from everybody. So if you see up here on screen, on above me, those little pop-out bubbles, those are literally everyone's chats.
Hi.
So I'm streaming to 5 different places right now. Okay, maybe 7.
Hi.
Who knows anymore?
Hi.
But that's called Social Stream. So that would be the first one I recommend checking out. I don't know why there's 7 pop up though. Okay, and I hear something in the background. Gonna pretend like that's not happening. Review post. Yeah, right now I'm trying to post this Patreon, but it's not allowing me. It's so weird. So yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. This is just another test day. But who knows? Maybe one day it won't be a test. Maybe it'll be the real deal. Maybe. It says it's a preview, but it's not actually posting. Which is annoying. Upload?
ICANREADTHIS.
Hey, it looks like it popped up though. The Texas Speak didn't like it. Schedule. Alright, well that'll pop up tomorrow. I guess we'll see what happens. Man, it's already the 10th of April. What the heck-a-roni, dude? The heck-a-roni. Alright, so let me just kind of go through what a typical stream might look like. Now, there's two different types of content that I intend to make in the future that is specific to streaming. First, it's going to be writing.
I'm just so happy to hear your voice.
Oh, shucks, Sparky. I miss you guys too. It's a new chapter, you know? And I hope all of you aren't hesitating on embracing new chapters, because I did for a while, and I realized I was unhappy.
Hashtag not addicted.
You're not addicted, Sparky. But, yeah, if you guys have things you want to try and things you need to, you know, end, those are the types of things that I hope you embrace, because change is human, you know? Anyway, two different types of streams that we're going to be attempting from, you know, this point forward. This first one is going to be writing. So writing, for me, is a creative endeavor. Now, I found a software, or I should say a coding language, called Ink. And so Ink allows me to create interactive stories. Now, this is all kind of like for testing purposes. So let me see if I can open up the exported version. We're going to see a lot of code here on screen. Now, that's because I was going into the more advanced stuff. So let me find a better example. But before I do, I'm going to just describe what you're looking at. And the best way to do that is to just literally pull it up in an HTML file. And then that way we can actually read what's happening on screen. So this is Ink test, Ink story, index. Great. And now I'll pull it up. Okay, good. It's... Oh, that sucks. My Chrome is acting like it's supposed to be open right now. Okay, so this is what a story is supposed to look like. Now, I added custom music and images just for testing purposes. So it's like once upon a time, begin, you can have images, you can have hovering effects, you can have images stacked on top of each other. So there's like 3 images going on. There's even a GIF of me floating in the foreground. And there's also YouTube videos, so you can embed videos if you wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and mute it, so I do have audio playing. Now you can have choices. It's a little hard to see these right now, because again, I was just testing things the other day. And so when you pick a choice, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. So this is like the modern choose your own adventure. And so every time you pick a choice, it's going to advance the story. Now you can restart the story, you can save your story. And depending on what you pick, I was using variables. So for example, there was a 2 on the screen before. So every time we click begin, I might get a different number. So we have 1 here. Hopefully, I don't look like a liar. There we go. So now we have a 2. So variables like that add a little bit more complexity to your story.
OMG, I'm in love.
Well, there's a lot of work to go, Sparky, but I appreciate the thought, because I think these types of stories are a lot more simpler to just start playing. So this type of story I can literally put on a website, and it'll be embedded. Like, you don't have to download extra software. And so the way I've kind of rationalized my narrative, my storytelling, is like focusing on the story first. The actual gameplay elements, like the exploration,
Such a cool
combat,
concept.
yeah, all of that can come later. So this is like narrative focused. Now, let me find the Ink example. So they have a really good example. So I'll go ahead and pull that up. I'll open recent, what do we have, demo? No, not that one. All right, give me a moment here. I'll make a new project. But this is basically my test project where I've been experimenting with stuff. And it's one of those things that I want to learn on stream and kind of like talk through what I'm doing. It's also something that's interactive. So people here, you know, watching, talking, chatting, twitching, whatever you want to call it, like they'll be able to throw out suggestions as to what to do, you know, how the story should progress. And a lot of these stories are going to be that interactive medium where it's, you know, us kind of learning together. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up a new story. We'll do this one. Yep, looks good. All right, and then I'm going to find, they have a really good example here on their GitHub. So I think it was like a crime scene. We'll do long example. Here we go. So we can see how this is supposed to look. All right, so I'll keep it over here on the right side of the screen. If we need to, you know, make the image bigger, we will. Okay, so we have the bedroom. This is where it happened. Now we'll look for clues. All right, so we're looking for clues. It's a crime scene. Where did we go? Do we look under the bed? Do we look under the desk, the window? I'll pick majority of these, but if one of you want to pick one. There might be a bit of a lag, so I think for demonstration purposes.
To the window.
To the wall. I went over to
the
the
wall.
window and peered out a dismal view of the little brook that ran down beside the house. So it's basically giving exposition depending on what we pick. So it's like, oh, okay, we can look down at the brook, or we can look at the glass. All right, let's just look at the brook real quick. I watched the little stream rush past for a while. The house probably had damp, but otherwise, it told me nothing. Okay, we'll look at the glass. The glass in the window was greasy. No one had cleaned it in a while, inside or out. Okay, interesting. Something else? Leaned back from the glass. My breath had steamed up the pain a little. So, basically no clues from this one. Oh, maybe the steam has something? Full day outside. And so this is the part where it's kind of hard to read what's behind me. Generally, we'd be kind of like working on this left side. Let's see, is there an easier way to show this? I could probably move it. Okay, so while we're working on it, or I guess reading through the story. Okay, so there's some fingerprints after we, you know, breathed on the glass, created some steam. Okay, we'll breathe on it again. The fingerprints reappeared. Okay, so the fingerprints. We know there's fingerprints on the window. This might come in handy later. So if we were to look through the code here, as I already did a little bit, I still don't understand all of this. But to kind of summarize, at the end of the story here, we're going to be able to recall this information. We're going to be able to recall, using variables, that fingerprint is there. And so when we're talking to someone else, that will come up in context. I find that really neat. All right, something else? Let's start looking under the bed. The bed was low to the ground, but not so low that someone or something might not roll underneath. It's still very neatly made. Oh. Well, let's look under the bed covers. Lift it back. The duvet underneath was crumpled. Okay, I'm gonna jump on the bed. We'll test the bed a bit. Push the bed with spread fingers. It creaked a little, but not so much to be obnoxious. Alright, well, nothing there, so we'll remake the bed. No, I'm gonna look under the cover. Careful not to disturb anything beneath. I removed the cover entirely. Not the work of the maid, but it was something rumpled. Something had been thrown in a hurry. We'll pull it back. Pull it back. Beneath it was a sheet, sticky with blood. Either the body had been moved or that it had been dragged to the floor. Or this is where the murder had been taken place. Okay, I'll look under the bed now. Lying down, I peered under the bed, but couldn't make anything out. Sure. Okay, I'll look elsewhere. So, we have the desk here. Turned my attention to the desk. A lamp sat in one corner, a neat, empty in-tray the other. There was nothing else out. Leaning against the desk was a wooden cane. Oh, I guess I could pick up the cane, why not? It was heavy, unmarked. Alright, well I'm holding on to a cane now. That's another variable. Let me turn on the lamp. I flicked the light switch. The lamp light gleamed on the polished tabletop. Okay, I'll look in the tray. Nothing to be seen. Either the victim's papers were taken, or his line of work had seriously dried up, or the in-tray was all for show. I'll look in a drawer. Right, a random drawer, locked. Okay, I'll open a different one. Also locked. What? Alright, one more. Third drawer, unsurprisingly, locked as well. Anything else? Well, I could move it to the floor or to the bed. I guess I'll move the light to the floor. I picked up the light and set it down on the floor. I'll look under the bed then. Peered under the bed. Something glinted back at me. Well, I have a cane in my hand. I guess I could knock it with the cane. Positioning the cane above the carpet, I gave the glinting thing a sharp tap. It slid out from under the foot of the bed. Okay. Stand up. Satisfied, I stood up and saw I had knocked a free, bloodied knife out from under the bed. Okay. We can pick up the knife, obviously. Careful not to touch the handle, I lifted the blade from the carpet. Very well. Let me look at it. The blood was dry enough to show up partial prints on the hilt. Very well. Let's move that light back to the bed then. Moved the light over the blood stain and peered closely at it. It had soaked deeply into the fibers of the cotton sheet. There's no doubt about it. This is where the blow had been struck. Alright, well, I'll compare the prints on the knife and the window. Holding that knife near the window, I breathed to bring out the prints once more and compared them as best I could. Hardly scientific, but they seemed pretty similar. Very similar indeed. Alright, put that light back on the desk, setting it down where it had originally been, and I'll leave the room. I'd seen enough. I switched off the lamp, then turned and left the room. My police contact, Joe, was waiting in the hall. So, he demanded, did you find anything interesting? Nothing. Or I could say I found the murder weapon. Or I could say the victim was murdered in bed, and then the body was moved to the floor. I found the murder weapon. Good going, he said with a grin. We thought the murderer had gotten rid of it. I'll bag that for you now. There's prints on the blade. He regarded calmly. Not very complete. It's hard to get a match for those. They match a set of prints on the window, too. Anyone could have touched the window, he said thoughtfully, but if they're more complete, that should help us get a decent match. I do know that the victim was murdered in bed. Why? Perhaps the murderer wanted to mislead us. Perhaps the murderer hoped to clean up the scene. But they were disturbed, it's possible. That's all I have for you, detective. All right, it's a start. I'll get those prints from the window now. That's the end of the story. Cool. I think it's cool. But yeah, that's pretty much what I intend to be working on while I'm streaming. Kind of interactive stories like these that I can pump out at a reasonable pace. But more importantly, it's to kind of like work on my narrative muscles. So a story in this kind of fashion, this interactive fiction, where you're clicking, do this, do that, and then variables are being saved.
Clap.
Clap, clap. Thanks, Sparky. It's worth noting I did not write that. So, if anything, I performed it amicably. Now, as for these interactive tales, these stories themselves, I intend to write basically a 12-part story that I have kind of been working on for the last 10 years. It's just been something in the back of my mind, and it's about time to let it out. And so that 12-part series is going to eventually be turned into a proper video game with exploration, combat, 3D models, textures, and the like. Now, this kind of story time is more so to give me an outlet to write the story and then also get feedback on the story in a interactive format. So all of this is going to be a lot of trial and error, like everything that's kind of like appearing on screen, definitely prone to change. These are just prototypes. Like me as a content creator, like a lot's going to change. Now, my hands aren't even working right now. Like the VTuber model, which is a little bit frustrating. Because I was hoping to get like a proper VTube setup going. I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be me, myself, and I. But this is fun. I really like the technology. It's just more about like how to make it work. Sometimes the hand will work. Sometimes they just do not respond. I'm literally waving my hands in front of my camera like a dummy. All right. So let's before we end today, let's just take a couple looks at how this story works. Now this one is very complex. This is their most advanced example. And the first thing I showed you was like my kind of like test story where I was adding images. So this particular story doesn't even have images. So the images was like me kind of like taking a step further. But what we see here is that there are lists of states. So we can see that depending on like if the glass is, being steamed, like we just breathed on it. If the light is on the table, if the light is on the floor, we can see we have an inventory, so a cane or a knife. And so this is all using like coding in the background. It's definitely like a JSON or a JavaScript. And it's very simple. So like I was able to, after a couple hours wrap my head around it a little bit better. But I believe I can write some, interactive fiction with this. So we can see here there's gray text, which is kind of like a basically it's called commenting, where it's like this will not appear in the story itself. So this is telling us about the system, about like how certain things are supposed to work. And it's even kind of giving me hints as to like what I'm looking at. Work. Clandestine, welcome in. How are you? Let me zoom in a little bit. So a lot of this is it's going to be us learning together. Okay.
Hello, sorry for bothering you.
Yep,
I want to offer promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chat bots, etc. The price is lower than any competitor, the quality is guaranteed to be the best. Flexible and convenient order management panel, chat panel, everything is in your hands, a huge number of custom settings.
Yep,
Go to Streamrise.
Yep.
Womp womp.
Thank you. Well, hey, my hands are working again. So that was a good test drive of how I didn't want things to happen. It's also one of those things where it's I wish I had a button to skip that. but I don't think I'd get a button for that. Is what it is. I think I'll just disable it for now.
Can you make it for VIPs only? Ha 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 ha.
I wish, Huddle. I mean, that's a great suggestion. This is a add-on, and I don't think it does that. I'll double check though. There's a lot of settings, and I don't think it does that. But for now, it'll stay on. But funny mental note of how that happened. All right, well, time to continue with my explanation of things I'm looking at. So we're creating functions, not functions. These functions have like things like inventory. So the
Good
inventory
stretch.
It's a good stretch, yeah. Thanks, Play Game. My arms do not work properly. I think if I cover my camera here, this breaks. So we have a list of inventory. So we can have none in our inventory, and basically it's a plus or minus. So it's gonna give us any or all of these three. So none appears to be the default. And so we can still have none in our inventory, but the important thing is that we can have a cane or we can have a knife. So as long as those are inside of our inventory, this kind of like contained version of variables, we'll be able to call upon them later. So inventory is just kind of like a container. Now we also have another container called supporters. So this is kind of like, oh, where is the light? It's on the desk, it's on the floor, it's on the bed, it's under the bed, it's in my hand, it's with Joe. So these are all kind of like another type of container. And so a lot of this, and thank you guys for just being here as someone to shout at the void at. A lot of this is stuff that I'm kind of like learning, and I don't really expect any of you to grasp at all, but me speaking out loud helps me to learn it better. But if you're ever interested in learning what ink is, just do a quick search for ink.
Ayo Void, what's up?
Void. Yeah, we're the void here. But this is what we're looking at. These are the documents we void in. So all of these are basically states as to like I am in a specific state. So for example, I've reached a certain state. I'm between a certain state. So not reached would give me different variables, etc., etc. So now that those initial variables are set, it's going to determine, hey, these are the variables of that we already list that you start with. So for example, the bedroom light, it is initially off and it is initially on the desk. And then the knife, it is initially under the bed. And so then we have knowledge chains. So this is basically when you're discovering the clues, what order they appear in. Same with the knife, same with the window. Great, so now we'll get into the heart of the story here. So the story begins here, and we can see it on the right side of the screen, the bedroom. This is where it happened. Time to look for clues. Oh, and I see this wasn't really appearing on the short form stream, but that's okay. We're testing things here. We're in edit mode. Okay. All right, so bedroom. This is where it happened. Now to look for clues. So that's the initial statement. Now I could obviously change this. So like I could write test here. This is where it tests. And we'll see if the light is here, comparing the prints. Now if we choose the bed, so this is where things get interactive. So we have a star here that denotes like, hey, this is a choice. And it'll be a while before we see the desk. So first choice is the bed. So we see the bed here. And so let's go ahead and scroll down until we see the desk. So here's the window. And here's the desk. Okay, so we're talking, this is line 167. The bed, and this is kind of like a condensed scene, starts at 102. So it's about 65 lines of content that you can do inside of the bed scene. So the bed itself, this is like a condensed scene inside of one interactive choice. So now let's just select the bed. When you select the bed, you're gonna get more options. So we can lift the bed cover. So this is like second series of options. We can lift it, we can uncover it. So let's just go ahead and lift the bed. It's going to give us a result. So it's basically said, oh, he crumpled the duvet. Oh, the bed state has now shifted the covers. So now I have more options here. So we can now remove the cover. We could instead pull it back, which is not in this current section. And it all depends on what state the bed is in. So we can test the bed. So a lot of these are dependent on which series of choices we're on. So we're on like the 2-star choice. That's basically like second tier of choices. So I can basically pick between remove the cover, pull back the duvet, which is not currently here because we don't have the covers off yet. So let's remove the cover. Now I can pull back the duvet, and it's kind of added it to everything else. And we were able to pull it back only after the cover was already off. So it's important to, I guess, acknowledge that these are variables that allow me to progress in different directions in the story. And it is a little bit complex, but I'm hoping that over time, like, it's just going to become like second nature. You know, it's just, this is the coding language that I want to learn. Now, the whole purpose of all of this is just to write a cohesive narrative. I don't want to dilute my story with things like, oh, you have to walk from point A to point B. This is what makes narrative storytelling more prone to error. So if I'm able to create a story that is error-proof at the base level, at this interactive fiction level, that's when I know I'll have a good story. Or at least I'll have a foolproof story. Like I'll have a story that you can't break. But yeah, that's the whole idea. Okay, just kind of like browsing through it for the rest of my time here. And I'll probably be wrapping up in about 10 minutes. So thank you again, Sparky, Hoddle, Play Game for Fun, and Garnikin. Thanks for tuning in just to say hi. I appreciate it. It's always nice to have friends on the internet. So we have the bed states. We have my state, so like what my reach is. Turns since. So I'll go back now. Here under the bed, something glinted back. So again, these are variables that have to be set first. We can knock it with a cane. We can stand up. We can use a cane if we have it in our inventory. So this is all the stuff that we kind of like found as we went. Thanks, Play Game. Hope you guys have a nice Wednesday. I have work I have to do after this, so this was a fun test though. I'm glad we got to it. So if it's not in these brackets, the curly or the straight brackets, it'll be on screen. So we have various different states, like is the knife in our inventory? We can look at it. We can see the prints on the knife after we look at it. So it's kind of like enabling variables.
Last working night this week.
Oh, nice, Play Game. What's going to be your play, pun intended, afterwards? The desk. I turned my attention to the desk. A lamp sat in one corner, etc., etc. We can see that, hey, we found the light. We see the light. Now that we've seen the light, we can pick it up. We can turn it on, operate the lamp. So this calls a different portion of the story here. We can look in the tray. And so after we look in a tray, the way that these choices are set up is that they are one-time choices. So if I look at the in tray, as this is called, I can't like look at it and then look at it again and then look at it again. It's not like an infinite choice. It removes it from my list of choices. However, we do have these pluses here. So if I go to the desk and I open a drawer, we can see I can open it 3 times. So that's what these pluses denote. That after I look at it 3 times, then it stops. So I can basically do it for 3 times. And each time I do it, it's giving me a different option, a different text. And we can see that is inside of these curly brackets. We have a locked, we have also locked, and then unsurprisingly locked as well. And then only after we opened it 3 times do we get no more options. So taking a step back, and then if we have it in our inventory, pick up the cane. And basically, it's waiting for me to interact with the story twice before it gives me a new option. Now we can swoosh the cane. I know it's behind me, so it's hard to see. That's okay. Window, we can check out some prints on the window. And if it's steamed, then we can see options. So we can look at the glass or look down at the brook. So we'll first look at the glass, then look down at the brook. Look at the steam, breathe on the glass, something else. And so because I didn't do things in a more logical order, like I did in the first
Just waiting for something
attempt,
and I should have some, hopefully nice for viewers, giveaway for Sandbox related streams.
Oh, that's nice, Play Game. It's very generous of you to offer things to the community. Have you been making games too? It's great to see how active everybody is making games. Like I saw Shakespeare and Fred and Ferd, Pickaxe Master, Roxy, making some cool stuff. So it's making a particular variable here. I'm not quite sure where the greasy came from. Okay. Now we can leave the room. And then I basically tell him, hey, I didn't find anything. Nothing. Hey, Ikion,
Dorkit0RK. Sparky, Hodl, Wicked, Ian, me.
Thank you, Blue Tulip, for appending the list. I'm sorry I stopped. Everybody's making stuff. Very creative. Sadly, I'm not very involved in the Sandbox community anymore.
I have experience, but it's very basic and short.
Hey, that's how you start. That's how I started making games, and now I'm doing something completely different, but still making games. So Ikion, I know you're just tuning in. I'll probably be ending in about 5 minutes here. But we're looking at scripting to make interactive stories. So I'm not going to give you the whole spiel, but basically these are using variables to make an interactive story. Here, I'll just kind of like poke through this. Like, for example, the bedroom. I can look at this crime scene, and here's where I start. I can look at the bed. I can look at the desk. I can look at a window. And so going over to the window, we get options to do more, etc., etc. So going through all this, we can see that variables are intense in the sense like you need to have proper
Noise.
workflows. Noise indeed. Okay, so knife state, yep. Prints on the blade, got it. So a lot of this is using a container variable. So for example, has Joe seen the prints on the knife? Has he, have I seen the fingerprints matching the knife? Joe wants better prints. Bonnie wants to be moved to the bed at some point. And then move back to the floor. Why? Don't know. Perhaps to get something from the floor. I get the feeling my VTuber here is kind of dumb. Also, without the hands moving, it doesn't really do much. I think I'll stick with the Among Us.
First game I made was Rasta Snake 2000, I think. Snake clone that was eating, and that was in Visual Basic.
Oh wow. The Blue Tulip, you've been making games for a long time then. Is that still online somewhere? Your Rasta Snake? When I was younger, I never really acknowledged this as a career path of making games. I always assumed it was like programming. And it is, to an extent. But nowadays it's more visual. Or it can be, I should say. Okay. What else? Alright, so I want to try and
Not
understand.
sure, maybe I still have EXE somewhere.
Alright, send me that. Hopefully not a virus. But no, I believe you. If you can't find it. But very cool. So, I really want to understand how these functions work. Just for a little bit. We'll pull up. Let's see, we got Firefox. Man, my hands are like half working. Whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. This was a good test though. I'm glad I got the doubled YouTube stream working, and now I understand how it works.
2000? Prehistoric times, I remember the dinosaurs back then.
The dinosaurs. Yeah, that's when Bitcoin dropped, right? No, Bitcoin, that was like 2010 or 11. I had an opportunity to buy Bitcoin. Basically, my brother, who is very involved in crypto right now, or I guess he was involved. Now he's doing AI stuff. Anyway, he's a techno geek. And I had my first job in 2010. And so my first job, my first couple paychecks, I was saving up for a new computer. Like a desktop computer, because I was a gamer. And I had the option to buy some Bitcoin. And I was like, no way, bro. I want a computer. And so the rest is history. I got to game for that full summer. But I also lost out on a couple $100 million of Bitcoin. Because it was like a couple pennies per coin. Hindsight 2020. Yeah, I wanted to look at functions. I'm just trying to understand functions. Oh, there's so much code to learn. Let's see what this is.
Played prehistoric at that time.
it's introducing the concept of tunnels, so we can go to different portions of our story. We can use variables depending on like how hurt we are. So in this particular example, if we fell down a cliff, it's saying, hey, you're still alive, you can pick yourself back up. Or if we fall down a cliff 5 times, then it says we're dead. So this is where interactive fiction kind of shines. Just using variables, really.
Prehistoric.
Prehistoric. Imagine a game in which characters move independently around a map. The main story hub for a room might look like the following. Ooh, this looks fun. Here, I'll just plug this in real quick. See how it plays. And then we'll wrap it up. We can remove this error. Maybe we can't. Oh. I think I just pasted it wrong. Examine drawers. Oh, that's a shame. Okay. Is it gonna work? Basically, it added options to like add on to it, and I don't want to do that right now. Some thread, yeah. So it's basically saying, "Hey, this is what you're not supposed to do." Oh man. Okay, well, I can tell you one thing. This is how I plan to write my narrative. And I'm excited to, I don't know, just document the process. Like, coming into these streams, thank you again, everyone who popped in. Like, you'll probably see me working, talking out loud about what I'm doing. And a lot of offline work is going to be perfecting my craft. And I don't expect myself to, learn this overnight. This is going to be a long-term endeavor. And I really enjoy streaming because it allows me to almost have like a spotlight on me, where it's like I have to do the thing. And it's a lot easier to get distracted when there's not a spotlight on you. So if any of you are struggling to work, I do recommend streaming. Even if you don't have a camera on, even if you don't have a little VTuber, it's I think it helps encourage you to get work done. So thank you everybody for tuning in. That's going to be the end of today's stream. Might be back tomorrow, we'll see.
Unless your voice is as horrible as mine. Thanks for the stream.
Yeah, okay, Garnican. We're gonna hold you down and make you stream. Thanks, Sparky, Garnican, Blue Tulip, Ekion, Play Game for Fun, Hobble Hill. You're all great. Too great. Just
Peace.
for popping in. I appreciate it. These are just test streams, but you make it more fun, so thank you. Toodaloo! See you, Blue Tulip, as well. I don't know if I said your name. Okay, bye.